How would you feel about a man my age saying I love you to his father?
Oh, well, I never liked that sort of thing. See, I believe that feelings between older people should be kept inside and not spread out like mush or sugar or...
I love you, Pop.
I love you, son. Or syrup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll never say it.
Me neither.
Here, look at it.
Yeah, Ladies and gentlemen, introducing...
Welcome to the show. It is 13 August. You reached episode 163 of the Triple Threat Vet podcast. Thank you for making it. We'll give a big shout out to our guest from last week. Allie Breathe came on. She's an embodied mindset coach. Came on, did some practical application with one of our boys, Carlos Calzada from 1513 Cookers, and talked about her story. Grew up Russian, went to Canada, and now she's making her own way. As an embodied mindset coach. Lots of fun to have that conversation. If you don't watch the live show, we are also on all the places you get your podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, that kind of stuff. Be sure and give us a like, follow, and share. We love that you're watching live on TikTok. I see you over there, and we appreciate you watching on YouTube and Twitch as well. If you want to hit us up and tell your story, hit triplethreatvets@gmail.com. Appreciate that very much. I'm in a class right now called Peer Support Specialist. So if you're a veteran out there, I just want you to know your deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. If you're ever in need of peer support, go to www.warmline.org, put in the state you are in, and you will get connected to a peer support specialist. Big shout out to all the good stuff going on at VFW Post 8790 here in Spring Branch, Texas. RG Ruas down there doing some great and wonderful things. They're having their gala coming up on the 19th of September, the Boots and Heroes Gala. That's VFW Post 8790 Spring Branch. Big shout out to the premier maker of all the gear we wear. Another shirt here. Wax Poetic, love what they do, and he actually made me a new shirt. I want to show this off. John 14:6, the way, the truth, and the light. Appreciate that a lot. All our friends over there at Got Your Six, all the gear we do for the show. That was messy. I should have planned that better. Big shout out to Becky Jo Art, all the great and wonderful things she does. Look at this art. Check out BeckyJoArt.com. I want to give a shout out to Kyle Shudik and all of the people over at Project Zero Alliance for all the cool stuff they're doing here in the Houston area. They got a snapper charter coming up on the 28th of August, and they are still going to be having their 5th annual Memorial Golf Scramble on the 14th of September there at Willow Fork Golf Club. Go to projectzero.com if you want to be a sponsor of that. They still got some positions available. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit more, but we're right in the middle of Major League Baseball season. But go on out on 11th September and support the Houston Fire Department, Houston Police Department as they do the Battle of the Badges charity game presented by 300 Justice Road, which is a veteran-owned barbecue team here in the Houston area. Big shout out to them. Today, I'm going to read his bio here once I get the guys in here. Today's Mark Andrew, firefighter, author of the book, Leading Through the Heat. Looking forward to that. But I do see that everybody's in there. I see Al's in the building, Matt's in the building. So let me go ahead and turn this over to Matt Johnson.
What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday. You're here. We're here. So let's tell some stories real quick. Ty, just want everybody to know that 300 Justice Road is not veteran-owned. but they do have some veterans that help them out. But they are very much in support of veterans, and they're put on that Battle of the Badge game. Here pretty soon we'll be dropping QR codes for tickets to the game. So we know you ain't got shit to do on Friday night, September the 11th. You might as well go support those first responders out there pretending to still be in the Field of Dreams or the Sandlot. I don't know what kind of game it's going to be, but it's going to be interesting. But yeah, it's good to be here. I'm excited to talk to our guests, and as always, I'm excited to be around everybody. I don't have much for today. We're just going to go ahead and like shoot it over to that guy they call the hero.
What up, fellas? It's good to be here on a Thursday night. I do want to complain a little bit. I just want to complain a little bit. If you got a full head of hair and you're sitting at home right now and you're waving it around, you can kiss my ass, my whole ass. I'm so tired of motherfuckers with hair, especially right now. It's hot as shit in Florida. It's hot everywhere, but it's hot in Florida, like triple digit heat indexes. When we sweat, when us bald people sweat, there ain't shit to hold that sweat up there. That shit just pours in your eyes. I already got thin eyebrows. My shit just runs into my eyeballs. Ty, if you feel my pain, like if you got a full head of hair, we can't even be friends. Just, we're done. Like, I don't even want to talk to you. Like the Brad Pitts or the little broccoli haired boys at the gym and people walking around with fucking Morgan Wallen mullets. Y'all can all kiss my ass. Every one of you. It's crazy. It's so hot that we can't keep it together. Like I sweat through my ball caps. Like there's just nothing up there. Like the other day, I'm sitting outside talking to my neighbor. He's got a luxurious head of hair. We're not friends anymore. In fact, I'm going to egg his house and toilet paper his shit later. This dude's just standing there. We're both sweaty, but I look bad. Like I look worse than him. Like I got shit all on my face, dripping off my head, pouring off of me. I can't do it, bro. I'm over motherfuckers with hair. It's sad. And Matt, you have some hair. So I'm not counting you in that group. You don't have a whole lot left, but you're
I could grow hair if I wanted to. Can't you grow hair?
Yeah, bro. Around the outside, it ain't gonna stop the top.
Well, then good. It'll be like a retention pond for your sweat, dude. It'll be all good. All you got to do is look back every once in a while and it'll dump it out.
Like I used to make fun of people who walked around with like a sweat rag on their shoulder and shit like that. Yeah. That's old man style. Put a rag on your shoulder while you're grilling, or have one while you're.
Where's yours?
I have it and when I go outside, I got a little rag on my shoulder because I know I'm gonna have to pat this bad boy dry. Like I come inside from cutting the grass or watching my wife cut the grass. To be honest, I don't cut the grass; she does. Yeah. So I'm watching her outside. I come inside, I gotta get a paper towel, dry this motherfucker off, bro. It's hard. It's hard out here for a bald pimp. Just know that. It's hard in these. It's hard in these streets when you're bald headed. It sucks, dude.
Oh my god!
And it's been so like. And tomorrow I turn 46, so I'm getting closer to 50. So now I'm sweating.
46.
So now I got like man boob sweat when I'm outside. Like it's crazy, bro. Like
you're young as fuck, dude.
The sweat, it's just crazy. So I just want to hate on people who have full, thick, beautiful, luscious locks of hair on their head. I hate you people. Y'all make me sick. Because your hair soaks up some of the sweat. Like it grabs some of it. You can, my son can brush it out the way, kind of. Bro, ain't no brush.
I was gonna say you must completely hate Alex.
Oh,
that
bro.
Dude has like Last of the Mohicans hair, bro.
Oh, dude, he's like, I gotta go to the barbershop. Fuck you, bro. I am the barbershop. I'm in the shower every morning, bicking this bad boy up. And I've thought about it, man. Like,
meanwhile, Alex gets out of the truck and does the whole like.
Yeah, bro. And I've thought about it. I'm like, maybe I'll, and like I love ball caps. Like I'm a ball cap guy. But I'm sure Ty has the same problem. Like I sweat through my ball caps. Like I ruin my ball caps. Like I get a nice one. And you really can't wash a ball cap. I mean, you can buy the little shit that goes in the dishwasher, but you really can't wash a ball cap. It don't work. So I go through ball caps like crazy. It's sad. It's sad. And I was like, I'll just grow this shit out. Then I start growing it for a couple of days and I get like the thick gray. It's like, okay, I got some hair on the sides, and I start filling the top. It's little tiny bristles. I'm like, man, that's just
dude.
I'm gonna look even older. I'm like, let me just shave
Friar
it off.
Tuck up in this.
Yeah,
dude.
bro.
That would be so great.
What do they call it? There's a guy on Facebook. What's he call himself? The Southern Skullet, and his is beautiful. Bro. He's got like
1 year. Do not cut.
Okay.
Don't shave your beard. And we'll shave it in a year and donate it to like Locks of Love or something. They may not take it,
bro. Ain't nobody gonna take gray, bro. My shit's white. Like, ain't nobody taking.
Hey, there's a lot of kids with no hair that will take any color. Okay,
but yeah, I don't think I can do it.
They could dye that shit, dude.
I don't think April's gonna go for that. Like,
Not
I don't
even
think
for the
she-
children.
fuck them kids.
She know you'd be lying though if you said you were doing it for the children. She'd be
Oh, she
like,
know
"You
I'd be lying, bro.
ass."
She'd be like, "No, you're not."
That's funny.
So, anyways,
Children.
I'm done with complaining about people
Yeah.
with hair.
Well,
but I do
speaking
want
of children,
Yes, I
you
was
have
gonna
children that have
Yeah.
beautiful locks of hair, and then you also have children that make their dad a grandpa for the second time, right, Ty? So,
Yeah.
how's that going? I heard.
It went great.
Mhm.
We had an opportunity to have a baby shower on the 8th, so about 5 days ago. So I got to go up to Waco to the ex's in-laws house, and everybody came. All 6 of my kids, my grandkid was there. So big shout out to Cadence Stover. This cake was made by my wife Sarah. That cake, it was awesome. And then of course Cadence was very happy. Tatum and Sarah made these cake pops. Like that should
Tatum
go
made too many of them.
Bro, that was like super professional. That's crazy.
I'm telling you, when they go into the kitchen, it's freaking ridiculous. And when they come out, and Tatum's learning how to cook, and he was tired as hell from the drive. He was bored. But these are my 4 daughters. I'll get them all in one place. It's crazy. This is me with my 2 sons and my grandson. It was freaking awesome, getting to chill with them. And then there's all 6 of my children. And, I've told you guys over the years that I've known you that getting my 6 children in one place at one time is hard as fuck. And so getting them there on her baby shower, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun there. Appreciate that. Thanks for letting me do that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh,
It's
by the
crazy.
way,
Like all
just
your
go ahead.
kids.
Yeah, but just throw that QR code for that Amazon gift
Yeah.
registry up on the screen because babies is
Oh, man.
expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were so many people
in
there.
some of the people in the crew could buy some diapers. You know what I mean? They ain't buying no damn t-shirts, but maybe we could get some people to buy some diapers. You
Hey,
know
that
what I mean?
Marty head, Ramon Martinez's Marty head, that one's going to sell at least 10 right off the bat.
At
I know
least
10
10.
people
Shit,
gonna buy it.
bestseller right there, boy.
I mean, first day. I know 10 people's going to buy it right now.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that's good, man.
Got your 6 cultures.
Grandpa.
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 I feel
Well,
bad.
speaking of amazing things, great hair if you have it. Al's jealous.
Oh,
Kids
bro,
having
I
babies and
hate you.
making grandparents. That's amazing. But we have another amazing guest coming on today, Ty. So I say let's read the man's bio and bring him in the building.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring it up here. Mark Andrews, Leading Through the Heat, Essential Leadership Lessons from the Firehouse to the Corporate World. When the alarm sounds and lives hang in the balance, there's no time for micromanagement, ego, or empty commands. In the Firehouse, leadership isn't a theory, it's survival. Fire Captain Mark Andrew has spent his life learning what separates good leaders from poor ones, often through hard-learned lessons while fighting fires. In Leading Through the Heat, he distills decades of experience into a practical guide that proves the principles forged in emergency response apply to any workplace. So without further ado, let's bring on Mark Andrew.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to
Hey.
the show.
Welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And I got to say, it's an honor to be on a show that's willing and ready to tackle the serious issues facing us, like male pattern baldness.
Bro,
Hell yeah, dude.
I
says the
hope
guy with a beautiful head of hair on
I
the
hope
show.
this thinning spot right here keeps me in the cool kids club and not in the hippie long hair club.
No, you're good. You're golden. Your hair, but I mean, you have nice hair. Like you don't sweat through your eyeballs. So
Well, I did spend 5 minutes picking the right camera angle to not get the glare of this spot. So
See?
it definitely was planned ahead of time.
There you go, Mark. We are just want to say we're grateful that you took the time to come on, talk with us. We always love hearing stories of leadership and what it takes to transition from one thing to another thing. And when I saw all the stuff that you had written about what you've done and who you are, like I was like, that's right up our alley. That's what we love talking those stories. And it's not often we get to talk to someone that has been in the first responder community to have to do that as well. So this is pretty exciting for us to hear another perspective of leadership. And and just how it applies in different sections, if that makes sense, right?
It does, because that's exactly what I get out of this book promotion. Is I'm meeting veterans and business leaders, engineers and attorneys and salespeople, and it's interesting how common the stories are of leaders who succeed and leaders who struggle, and those themes are just universal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, what we like to do when we start everything off with the show, Mark, is we like to just give our audience and our listeners a little bit of a picture about you and your background. So let's just start off. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I am from Dearborn, Michigan, and that's where I grew up. It is the city that I spent my career in Dearborn. When I hired on in the 90s, though, it was much harder to find a job, because most of the departments just needed a basic EMT, and they'd send you to an academy. And so you had an applicant pool of thousands of people, and we would all fill up high school gymnasiums taking civil service exams. And it took years to get in. And so I would have gone to anybody who would offer me a full-time career job. But over the years I was applying, I worked at the private ambulance and started gaining more experience, worked at a smaller city in a part-time fire department. So I started to do more 911 calls and kind of climbing up the ladder of getting more experience, building that resume. And by coincidence, my hometown was the city that offered me the job. And I was so fortunate, because it was just a great 28 years there.
Yeah,
So I got a
awesome.
question for Matt. So what? Because I'm a Southern boy. I mean, I've lived everywhere, but I'm primarily grew up in the South. What was it like growing up in Dearborn? Right? What kind of stuff did you do? Did you play sports in high school? Like, were you an athlete? Like, kind of walk us through like growing up in Dearborn and what that was like.
Yeah, absolutely. Dearborn is definitely a unique town. I want to say it's the third or fourth largest city in Michigan, depending on if you're measuring by population or by square miles. So it's a big city. Its fire department runs like a big city, even though we are a suburb. We are, I would say 70% of us is a bedroom community. We don't have a ton of apartments. It's mostly single family homes. Our town was founded in 1928. So it has a big city feel to it, and it has a very old infrastructure. We have old roads, we have old water mains, we have old electrical lines. And so we do get a little bit more hazards from all of that as a first responder. The town growing up was a blast, a classic middle America, Midwestern type of upbringing. You got 4 seasons. You played a little league baseball in the summer. The high school football teams are the big thing to do on Friday nights. In the wintertime, winter sports and skiing and sledding are prevalent all over the place. People vacation in Michigan. There's the lower peninsula, looks like a mitten. There's the upper peninsula. The top half of that lower is what we call up north. And so people just say, hey, I'm going up north. And tons of people got vacation homes and cottages and cabins. And so it was a pretty varied existence growing up. Specifically to Dearborn, what made us different is we are the hometown of Henry Ford and the world headquarters of the Ford Motor Company. And we also have Ford's largest manufacturing facility, the Ford Rouge plant, which has a fully functioning and working steel mill on a river, and then the F-150 truck plant, along with an engine plant, a fuel tank plant, a frame plant, and a body shop. So it is a very, very large industrial sector in our town. So that is certainly helped us as a first responder, because we also, besides being a bedroom community, have a large industrial tax base.
It's very interesting. Very interesting. So growing up and going through all that, at what point did you determine that going into civil service, becoming an EMT, doing firefighting, like when did that jump on your radar? And at what point was that something that you became interested in doing?
Always interested since childhood. In high school, I started reaching out to the guidance counselors and just asked, what are some ways to do this? And my father was a firefighter and coincidentally also for Dearborn. And so I reached out to that fire chief. I called a few other fire chiefs or wrote them letters when I was in high school and asked them their advice on the career path. And here we are in the late 80s. And I got a lot of feedback. And I would say 20% said go in the military, and if you do, choose the Air Force, because you have a higher chance of coming out with certifications applicable to this. But then 80% of the chiefs said, God, we're really pushing EMT and paramedic now way more than we used to. I would go to a community college or a trade school, get that EMT as fast as you can. So that was the route that I had taken. I got the EMT. I got a job at a private ambulance company when I was 19, and just kept building the resume and going on calls and learning. And 7 years later, Dearborn called.
So for you, was it just the influence of your dad and him being a firefighter that made you wanting to do that? Was it just that just seeing that all the time? Is that what sparked your interest, or was there something else that made you go that way, even though that you'd seen that all the time, or is it just was always there, like family kind of history thing?
You know, I got to wonder what was going through my mind at the time, because the way I remember it, it just looked fun. I saw my dad make a decent living. We owned a house. We could own a car. We could take vacations. We had a decent life. And so it looked like a place you would never get rich, but you would enjoy your work. And so the older I got,
fire, dude.
Yeah. And then the older I got, the more I started looking at the actual fires and the car accidents and the jaws of life and the trauma and the stop and the bleeds. And then I started to become interested in the action and the adrenaline of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, once you get older, you start to understand what that stuff is too, right? So you can kind of pay attention into it. Yep. So it's interesting. Your dad was a firefighter in Dearborn.
Yes.
You couldn't get the family hookup, dude. Like there's no legacy
I know,
to get in there.
Not for me. Our department does have a whole bunch of father sons. We've got a ton of brothers. So with family connections, I could probably say it throughout the course of my 28 years, we've probably, and maybe 10 people hired before me were father sons. And then there were 2 brothers when I hired on. And then since then, a lot of the younger generation, we've got a couple of cousins, we've got a couple of brothers. Let's probably say 4 sets of brothers. So it is a definitely a common thing. People just get interested in it through seeing it in its familiarity. But no, back in the 90s, it was so competitive that unless you had tangible job experience in another department, if this chief has got 800 people in a high school cafeteria and one dude retires, he's just going to hire the guy who's road ready. And so it just saved them on their training costs. So no matter who I knew, I was going to have to build that resume a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. You would think there'd be some kind of legacy thing where you can look at that, right? Like hiring
New York, Chicago, Detroit, Houston, that do in-house academies. You will see that there more because they don't care what your resume is. In fact, they prefer kids right out of high school because everything is through a militaristic 3-month-long boot camp style fire or police academy. And because their big cities are so unique in the way they run and the way they're staffed and where they put their equipment. In a suburb, we just don't hire 30 people in one shot. We're hiring 2 here and then maybe 1 later in the year. And so there's no practical way to do an academy in a suburb. But in the big cities, they want the command and control of being able to mold young people. And so I have heard in big cities, if you're in an interview, and I've heard this not 100 times, but easily 5, 6, 7, 8 times,
99
that they would say, well, I've got this training and I've got this training and I'm going to get this training, and the whole board of chiefs is sitting there and nobody's paying attention. And they'll say, oh, and my grandfather worked here. And everybody sits up. Oh, well, what ladder company was that? What engine was he on? Oh, I know that guy. And all of a sudden now they're interested in taking notes. So yes, in the big cities, legacy employees are definitely a thing, but it's in the suburbs. At least now it would help, but in the 90s, man, it's just there was nothing to get away from experience. They needed the experience.
Yeah. So in the 90s where you were at, I mean, with everything that Ford is doing there, I mean, there were still that many people looking to just go into civil service that just wanted to do that, or
Yes.
was it like lacking on the jobs there? Like, what was the environment that would cause that many people to try to get into that one profession in your area?
I've had this conversation on some skilled trades podcasts, and it's something that Mike Rowe talks about a lot through his public speaking, and that is there used to be a trade school aspect to high school and getting out of high school in lieu of going to college. And so back then, civil service jobs and trade school and skilled trades jobs were way more popular. I believe the civil service jobs were popular because the pay was decent, but the benefits were very, very good. Our benefits are still good, but we have made lots of concessions over my 3 decades there in pension and healthcare. So it's trimmed back a lot from what it used to be. That on top of we are just in, since the mid 2000s, now looking at an entire generation of 20-year-olds that were told you have to go to college or you'll never amount to anything. And so we just have so few less candidates. Sometimes we'll put out a job application on job posting sites and we'll get 3 applicants, whereas we used to get 1,100. And of the 3 applicants, we might have 4 retirements that year. So all 3 people, just if they just have
they can breathe
in hand and can show up on time for the interview, then they got a job offer. And so we're seeing, not that that's a bad thing. We're still getting really talented, super smart, very highly motivated people, but because we have less selection, it has made our officers have to step up and be willing to mentor and coach and train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I would imagine the fire service being like the military, I mean, there is, an avenue for that anyway, right? You still would train and do all that, but at the same time, it's interesting that you talk about Mike Rowe. I saw a commercial today with him talking about there's a whole bunch of 6-figure jobs that AI will never take away. Yes. This whole commercial nowadays for a trade, which means you have to actually work with your hands. And yes, you have to go outside sometimes. Yes, you're going to get dirty, and no, they're not making content over it, right? You're not going to be a freaking YouTube star. But the biggest thing that was leading with that commercial is like, these are 6-figure jobs that AI won't replace. And, all you got to do is be willing, to learn. And what was interesting, I've heard a lot of that talk is like, we were talking before, and I heard you guys talking when I jumped in, like military guys get out and, they were in the medical field in the PICA service, but they, in some places, all that training you got, they're like, yeah, that's cool, but you got to go do this. And it's like, wait a minute, what?
Yes,
like I stuck my hand in people's chests to keep them, alive and all that. And I've done all of this trauma stuff, but like, because it wasn't here or there, and I think those are the gaps that you got to catch up to, because a lot of those 6-figure trade jobs, there's a lot of military guys getting out that could do them. But the problem is the language of those things hasn't caught up, right? And so there's a lot of people out there doing it. And then also, you already said it, the lack of kids going to trade school in high school. Like there's no push to be like, it's okay to be an electrician. It's okay to be a welder. It's okay to be a carpenter. Like these are things you need to do. Like I remember when my son was younger, I had to change a light in the house, right? Just a little light in the bathroom. Yeah. And my wife goes, hey, you should go help your dad do that. My son's like, nah, I ain't doing it. My wife's like, what are you going to do when you get older? You're going to get older and you're going to have to do something like put a ceiling fan in. That means you got to pay someone to do it. And he straight was like, I guess I'm paying someone to do that then.
Oh.
And then he just walked out, like no desire at that point being young to learn that, right? Because what he saw all the time that was cool and it was awesome was what? YouTube and video games and all that stuff that could just keep you in one place. And you didn't really have to immerse yourself in something to learn it. You know what I mean? It's like you got the controller in your hand, you can figure it out and you can just sit there for hours just to do that. But it's like immobile, not moving things. And one thing I noticed a lot is, oh, I have to get up and go do something somewhere else. No, I'm good. I don't want to leave, right? And I'm like, Jesus, dude, like what's going on? But it's like that in a lot of places, right?
And it is interesting. That's why I encourage kids that are maybe just entering the workforce. I said, you know, don't get that apartment. Don't rent a bedroom off of somebody else's mom's house, or don't live with your parents. Knuckle down. Buy a starter home in a small community. Owning a home was such a skill builder for me. It's you know, it makes you have to do stuff. Plus, there's the responsibility of those bills, and being thrust into responsibility is sometimes a great way to grow up.
Sink or swim, dude. Sink or swim. You're either going to figure this out or you're not. But the good news is you realize through those trials and tribulations that a lot of times family, friends, there's people there to help you through if you need it. I think the biggest issue is like nowadays, everybody's helped all the way through it. There's no struggle in some things anymore to figure it out, right? The moment that you see a young person looks like they're about to have to decide, you know, something, or they're going to get stressed out, there's always someone there to just take up the slack and do it right then, instead of critically going through that moment and struggling a bit and knowing that it's okay to do that. It's fine.
Yes.
Like you're going to be okay. It just for whatever reason, I know me and Al, we talked about it all the time when we were in the Navy, like the lack of remorse of quitting things was huge in a lot of these young kids we would recruit, because we would go talk to them and then, you know, newsflash everybody, you can hate me later. You don't have to go when you sign up. Like you don't have to do it. Right. And they just be like, I'm not going. And their parents are all about like, it's cool. He doesn't want to do it. He quit. That's all right. I'm looking like, dang, dude, does he quit everything that he tries? Right. Because you got bad grades. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff leading up to it is there. And then, you know, half the time, what do you think? Like 40% of them come back wanting to get in, and now they didn't graduate high school or they got in trouble. And you're like, well, you're screwed now, dude. There's nothing I can do to help you. Right. Should have done it before. I just, I wish we could get back to that point where people want to go into the trades like you were in. Right. Because I mean, you did what you said, 27 years, 30 years?
Total combined, probably 32 with the jobs prior to Dearborn. Yeah.
And when you, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but it's kind of on part of what we're doing. When it was time for you to walk away, how worried were you about maybe not your station, but your chosen tribe, like firefighters, EMTs, first responders? What was your outlook on your community's profession going forward with what was coming in when you were going out? I mean, 32 years of experience to lose cannot be replaced in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, and if there's not a good influx coming in there, like you just said, like 3 applied, 4 retired, like you're losing valuable decision-making and experience. So what was your feel of what the career field looked like when you got out?
Surprisingly, my outlook is excellent. I think our department is in great hands. And while, yes, we do have a varied amount of experienced young people that we're bringing in, they all want to be there. They're all highly motivated. They come from various backgrounds, whether it be nursing and changed careers. Some were in tech jobs, but you know, those skills can find a way to translate into the way we do our reporting or EMS. So even though we're not getting as many veterans and skilled tradespeople, we're getting motivated people that are bringing varied types of talent in. But I think what we do way better is the leadership. And so we've just got a really good crop of young lieutenants that were promoting up when I was in my last couple of years. And it was different from when I came on. Not that all the officers were like this, but it was common that you took the promotion because it had a pay raise. You took the promotion because, well, that's just what you do. Or you took the promotion because it's easy if you like delegating things to the younger people. And so we're now in a place where, because of the people, some of the people before me that were inspiring, and some of the colleagues I came up the ranks with, we all made a promise when it's our turn to become officers, if we're fortunate enough, we're going to make sure that we're not doing this for the money. We're doing this so we could build other people up. And we're going to do this to empower better teams. And we're going to do this so we could coach and train people and have that empathetic leadership style that truly has people buy in to the program and to the team's mission. And so we now have got a whole host of young officers that are just eager to do the job and are really smart kids, and they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, no, I love that. So in order to get there, let's go back to young. You finally got into Dearborn. You're in the department. Yep. Walk us through a little bit. What was it like going into that then, the leadership style? And what did you notice walking in the door? I know you'd been around it, right? Like your dad was a firefighter and you'd seen these things. But walking in the door, fresh new, what was it like for you getting in there and doing it? Was everything you thought? Were you like, oh shoot, like this is a little bit different? Like, walk us through what that was like.
Yes. I had an awareness just coming up in private EMS and kind of the part-time calls I would see in a neighboring city in a smaller town, that the department my dad described to me my entire life is going to in no way look like my experience. It's going to be 70, 75, possibly 80% medical runs. It's going to be 500-600% busier than anything he's ever experienced. He was a fire truck driver, and in one of the toughest parts of our town to work, when it was a heavy industry and a steel mill that, without modern adaptations, had accidents and fires constantly. And it was very hard, but the call volume was less. And so him and a lot of his colleagues were going, if you're not on the ambulance, you're going on a couple of runs a day. My station, when I left, it was an engine, the chief officer, and 2 ambulances. And we would, on a weekday, easily have 20 to 25 runs in our run book. Every single day, and absent a few lucky Sundays and holidays, but for the most part, those weekdays are hopping. And so I figured that out right away. This is not going to be the hang out and play cards, and we're going to sit in the chairs in front of the station and have some cigars. We're going to be in and out of this building constantly. And so,
and is that because you took the EMT route, like because you decided to go EMT paramedic route? That's why you were there. And were they just traditional firefighters going on those calls?
Correct. Because what you generally see is big cities will separate fire and EMS. Whereas the suburbs will all be dual role. So if you want to hire on in any suburb surrounding in southeastern Michigan, or that surrounds Chicago, or in upstate New York, all those suburbs, when you hire on, you're on the ambulance one day, the fire truck another day. And so all the firefighters are rotating into the jobs. And so if you choose to go the suburban route, you're going to be doing medical runs. And the higher you go in seniority, the less time you do on the ambulance, the more time you do on the fire truck. And if you're fortunate enough to make engineer, then you just solely drive the fire truck. If you're fortunate enough to make officer, you're solely just going to be in charge of a station or in charge of an engine company. And so there is a break of those medical runs that comes about year 10 or 15.
Oh, okay. So but your dad being in that, he didn't experience a lot of the medical run stuff either, or is it just not as busy then as when you came in?
It was not nearly as busy. People called 911 before there was 911. You had a sticker with the dispatch or the police dispatcher phone number, and you stuck it on your phone, and you had to call that 7-digit number. And there, ambulances were just medical first responder or basic EMT, and people only called if it was life or death. And so now we are just constantly going on anxiety attacks, stomach pain, whether it's people that don't have any other resources because of income. We have some people that just don't really have an understanding of public service and government because they're very, very recent immigrants. We have a very large immigrant population. And then you have some people who just flat out love to abuse 911 because they want to be catered to or think they will be seen faster in the ER if an ambulance takes them, which is always comical when we drop them off in the lobby.
All right, see you later. They're like, wait,
Nope.
what? We're not going straight to the back? No.
Absolutely. Every
High
single
five.
day.
You just
Good
got a
luck.
free ride to the front door, homie.
Yeah,
We got
good
you
luck.
here.
Yeah.
Every day,
We
5
just
times a
Ubered
day.
you here. Essentially, good
Yeah.
luck. Like,
And the city's billing company is going to send you a bill for $600,
buddy.
So,
which you obviously could just send to your insurance company, but
Yeah.
either way, yeah.
do you guys have regulars?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Regulars to the point where, and a lot of the regulars are, if not truly homeless, at least choosing to live on the streets. And so, yeah, we get a lot of that. Sometimes you'll just have people in a house that just have known anxiety disorders. And when their attacks happen, they don't have any other mental health resources. So we're going to just take them to the ER for a cool down period. And so, yeah, there's a lot of regulars that'll call 3 to 7 times a week. And
Damn.
so it's to the
Wow.
point where, yeah, the crews on those ambulances just mentally know the narrative they're going to type on their report on their laptop.
Or,
Here it is.
or
Here goes
what time
Matt.
to start
Here goes
driving
Matt.
that
Yeah.
Just
direction?
every time.
Here goes Matt Johnson again. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Here, Matt's calling.
Oh
Crazy.
yeah.
I was sweating in the street too much. freaking
I'm
out.
calling because it's hot out here. Y'all need to come give me a ride to somewhere with some AC.
Shout
Yeah,
out
we got to
to
go pick up that dude with a napkin on his head.
my cousin. He's a fireman as well. Shout out Morgan LeBaron. Yep.
I love it. So as you went through, right, in your career, and you're going through in the firehouse and working your way up, can you walk us through, like, just walking in the door, you're going on the calls, and like, how did you ascend up through the ranks there? You know, I know you talked about, leadership in the beginning. You knew that you were going to go on more calls. What was it like for you to like move through that career and kind of move up the ladder? Because we have an understanding of like what we would need to do to move up, in the military. Like there's
Right.
those things you have to do. What was it like for you? What kind of things did you need to take on? What are the things that, maybe you saw that needed to be a little different, or, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I picked up early on, probably by the time I finished my probationary year, that my career goal was to be a lieutenant. It looked like a fun job. It looked like an exciting job. I liked working with the lieutenants. I loved the connection they had to the crew as a team leader and a mentor. And they were on engines, not ladder trucks. And I just liked being on a fire engine rather than the ladder. And so it looked like a really fun gig. So I paid attention to engine company operations, tactics, strategy. I also looked at the leaders that I had, and I watched the ones who struggled, and I watched the ones who had the respect of their crew when we're doing great jobs. And I thought about lessons in prior jobs before the fire service and just saw horrible management. And by the time I had 10 years on, I now had a pretty good mental inventory of traits I liked and traits I didn't like. And that was built through the peer-to-peer conversations we would have and the trainings we would do, and just the discussions and friendships you would make with the people in your seniority group as you're coming up the ranks. We would always break down calls afterwards. And I found out that a few of us were really interested in leadership. And so that I started to think, boy, I got a lot of really good ideas, or at least ideas I think are good. And I hope I could be a lieutenant, because I want to try these out, because I remember this one run and it went terrible. And I remember this other one and it went very well. And so I was looking forward to about that year 15-ish, because that seemed to be about the time your scores started to improve. You had enough seniority points You've maybe seen the written test enough that you start to become more competitive for the lieutenant spot. So I knew I was going to make mistakes, but I could tell in years 12 to 15, I'm now starting to take more classes, and I felt more ready to be an officer at that point.
And in that time that you were moving up and doing that, did you have any leaders that you worked with? I know you said you looked at the guys that had the respect of their crew. You saw guys that struggled. Like, walk us through maybe who or a couple of
Sure.
either situations or people that were inspirational and kind of helped you through, and what kind of lessons did they teach you?
I got a good one. Is there a language restriction?
No, you
on the
can
show?
say whatever. Did you hear Al in the beginning?
There is a fucking language restriction. You better watch our fucking mouths, or we're gonna get canceled.
I had missed that. All right. It's an anecdote I share in the book, and it was formative to me. I've got maybe 10 years on. I'm a senior firefighter, and I'm on the back of the engine, and the driver of the engine is senior to our lieutenant, but he got passed up for lieutenant. He just was a super street smart guy, and just a really good firefighter, great interpersonal communications, just a real blue collar street smart type of firefighter. But he just wasn't making it on the board interview or the written exam, and he's getting passed up. And so the lieutenant is a very, very nice person, but he's new to the lieutenant's role, and he is still finding his way, and he's kind of struggling. And I don't fully blame him. I blame the way he was taught. We had some chief officers when I was coming on that were browbeaters, and naturally, when you lead through browbeating, don't be shocked when you train a bunch of people to be timid, because they're now afraid they're going to get in trouble. So he just was in that mindset. So we show up to this semi-truck fire, and it's on the freeway, and they don't have fire hydrants on the freeway. And the engineer says, "Hey, this fire's getting into the trailer, Lou. We're not going to have enough water on our fire truck. Do you want to knock it down? We'll drive up the hill. That building there has a hydrant on the corner. I'm familiar with this district. Or we can call the ambulance crew. They could come up and they could just stretch some hose up the hill and catch it. Or we could call a second fire engine. They could come here and we could just draft and relay their 500 gallons to our tank and see if that's enough water." And the lieutenant takes out his old flip phone in the early flip phone days and says, "Well, let me call the chief and see what he wants." And this engineer takes the phone, moves it away from his ear, and takes his finger and pokes him in the chest. Says, "Listen, I don't want you to make a fucking phone call. I want you to handle it." And the guy just said, "Leave me alone," and went and called the chief anyway. And I stood there. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this. This guy not only can't make a decision, was asked, "Please just make a decision, something, we're begging you," and he still couldn't do it. Why was he so timid? Why was he so afraid? What was he worried about? And I started playing with that in my head. Why was he more afraid of getting in trouble than how he was perceived by his crew? What was he taught coming up the ranks that taught him that if he made the wrong decision, anything horrible would have happened? If the decision was wrong, we'll just change and do something else. But he was too scared to do that. And so I started realizing this is one of the best leadership lessons I've ever seen. This sums up every seminar I've been to. This sums up every management textbook I've ever seen. And I'm watching it in real time. And so I knew going in, leaders got to be decisive. And it doesn't have to be my way or the highway. You could take input from the crew, but you got to pick one and you got to move. You can't leave people hanging in a high stakes environment.
Well, I mean, yeah, fire's burning, right?
Well,
Fire's burning.
It's crazy when I hear your stories, Mark, and I hear you talk, because it's so relatable, in my opinion. And I'm sure Ty could attest to this too. It's so relatable to what the military looks like. right?
Wow.
Because at some point in all of
Really?
our careers, Matt's career, we all take, stock in our leaders and the good ones, the bad ones, the ones that are indecisive, especially when you're in a combat scenario, right?
Yeah.
Any decision's better than no decision, right? We have to make a decision. We have to make a call because if we don't, people are going to die. So it's funny hearing your stories because it's so relatable to what we did in our backgrounds. So relatable when you're especially when you're talking about leadership, because we're the same way. We start off as an E1, taking out the trash, doing whatever you're told. And as you move up through the ranks, you start either taking on the attributes of great leadership that you learned or the piss poor leaders that were and you start either becoming a micromanager or an asshole, whatever it is, or you start developing into a passionate, people-focused, people-forward leader who cares about not self anymore, but cares about holistically everybody else. Right. Everybody else is first, you're second, right? That's why the Marines are notorious for leaders eat last. Like they're known for that. Your people eat first. And it's so refreshing to hear it from your side, coming from a first responder in the fire department, because it sounds so familiar. Like you got a fire on a highway and this guy's not making a decision. I've been in combat situations, same as Ty probably or Matt, where the young lieutenant or the young whoever is like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And you've got some E6 or E5 who's like, sir, here's what we're going to do. We're pushing forward. Let's go. Shut the fuck up and move. And that's just how it is.
Yes, absolutely. Because I can imagine it's similar in the military, but I can't say for sure. But in the fire service, if I pick up plan of action and it doesn't work, it's very simple. Just change your tactics.
Correct.
Oh, I put the ladder on this side of the house and then the smoke shifted and it's blowing on us and I can't get this vent hole cut. And then there's a power line here I didn't see. That's okay. I'll just get down. We're going to move the ladder over here. Changing plans, Chief. We're going to move the ladder over here. Chief,
and I'm assuming after it's all said and done, Mark, you have a hot wash or a after action and you discuss your tactics and what you did right and what you did wrong. And you adjust for the next event or the next situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing horrible is going to happen.
Mark, let me tell you this, just to remove any doubt in your mind at all. This is episode 163. And since episode 1, we've been talking about, with Matt Johnson's company, Got Your Six. He caters to the veterans and first responders because we talk about a lot of the PTSD that we have. We know we're going to fight a war. We're fighting not on our soil. We come back and we kind of understand what conventional warfare, at least global war on terror was like. But you guys are doing the same life and death situations where any call that you talked about where we're not going to be in this building much, any call that you go on,
could be your last.
Die. And so the same directives when you're breaching, when you're entering a room, when you're clearing a building is the same thing that you're going to do. It's different TTPs, of course. But let me tell you, brother, everything that the police officers and firemen go through, we respect the fuck out of. And Matt Johnson at Got Your Six, same flag, same oath.com. I mean, we talk about that all the time. The PTSD is just as bad, and it may be worse because you have to deal with your neighbors.
Yeah, you're seeing your neighbor's deaths or a child burn up or a child.
Our people, Americans, being at their worst, killing each other. And we're fighting a war against, terror in other lands. We know we're fighting whatever. You're fighting the people down the street sometimes, and that's good on you, brother.
Well, we're lucky as first responders, and maybe it's easier for us than being a police officer. For the most part, when people call us, they're so happy we're there. And even if the outcome is tragic, we can take comfort in knowing that our efforts provided comfort to the family. So even if it's a pediatric victim or a horrible car accident, and somebody doesn't survive, being able to tell the family, we worked our butts off for 30 minutes and I'm so sorry. It provides them everything. It allows them at least a path to closure. So from us, a lot of the people that deal with stress on the job, and I'm not going to talk about true PTSD, but the ones that are stressed out on the job and need peer support, the ones that are stressed out on the job and need medical time off, almost always it's poor leadership, not the gravity of the calls. So a lot of it comes back to what we were talking about a couple minutes ago, just leaders that aren't empowering their teams, leaders that are micromanaging their teams, leaders that are leading through browbeating and intimidation. Those are the people I found out that needed that peer support, that ended up without an outlet or without somebody they could trust to talk to on the job. So we are fortunate on that angle is when we do have those stressful situations, the people are so thankful towards us, even if the house burned down, if maybe I could bring one photo album out to this family and say, I got this for you. I'm so sorry we couldn't head it off anymore. It's enough to make them so thankful that it takes the edge off, if you will, of some of the stress.
Well, it's funny when you talk about leadership from your perspective. When you look at I'm in corporate America now, which is so weird, right? I got my first big boy job. I'm doing a real job now. And it's weird in corporate America because I see it from a side, a person who's been in a leadership role for many, many, many years, many moons. And I like to say I did a good job or I did my best, right, to take care of people. But I know for a fact that people don't leave a company. They don't leave an organization. They leave bad leadership. People that leave, 90% of the people that we have leaving our company or leave because of bad leadership or piss poor leadership or lack of direction or lack of transparency. And it's eye-opening because I coming from the military, I'm like, that's crazy. Like I was blessed and had some great leaders and had some really shitty ones too, but I had some great leaders and mentors along the way. And I think if corporate America could ever model their leadership style or how they do things after the first responder community or the military community, how great would some of these organizations and these companies be?
Right. Because what I've learned in just selling this book and talking to people is the one thing the fire service has in common with the corporate world is a common trait of poor leadership is the micromanaging. And I don't know if you see micromanaging in the military or not.
Shit. That
really?
Hey, as an E3, E4 below, that's all it is, bro. Hey, it's like,
oh my gosh.
You want to tell me?
Dude, I know
what color socks to wear, when you can use the bathroom. It starts in boot camp.
But I mean, overall, there's these guys, man, that they're so scared you're gonna mess it up or you're not gonna get it done. Check in with me every 30 minutes and tell me where you're at and where you're going. Like, gee, dude, I'm not even gonna get to the destination in 30 minutes before I got to turn around and come tell you where I'm at. And then you're going to be pissed because I ain't got it done. How about I just come tell you when I got it done? They're like, oh, no, I got to know everything. Like, oh, geez, there we go.
That's insane. Because that was another thing that bothered me is you had talked about a lot of leaders, if they're not self-aware, will take the poor lesson and just continue that poor lesson when it's their turn. And I saw that a lot with the micromanagers. I knew a chief officer who was a micromanager, and this one dude 10 years later is now a captain and he's a micromanager. And I just never wanted to be that. I wanted to be able to train and build up a team. And so what I found is almost all the time we would get to a scene, and the more emergent the scene, the less I had to say. The more emergent the scene, the more I would just say, here's our strategy. And the team would kind of know what to do and they would just go. And if I needed to make an adjustment, that would be fine. But for the most part, if you do the training ahead of time, you shouldn't have to micromanage. But I've seen so many horrible bosses, including one guy who told this young firefighter, hey, I need you to get a ladder. No, not that ladder. Get the other ladder. No, you're carrying it wrong. Carry it like this. And then he is physically standing in a street having a tug of war with a ladder with the 22-year-old kid. Wow, there's a house burning behind them. What the hell are you doing? Just If it's the wrong ladder, you talk to them in the station in private in 2 hours. Just let them raise the freaking ladder. What are we doing here?
Well, I think,
And
Mark,
so-
people forget where they came from, right? People don't remember what it was like being a boot firefighter or a young EMT on a truck when they get to a certain level. I would tell, when I was at the schoolhouse here in Pensacola for many years, right? I would tell my students in class, because all my students were senior NCOs. I would tell them, you want to be humble, you want to remember what it was like, take your collar devices off, take your rank off, and walk around this base and see how you're treated. Right? Don't forget you were an E1 at one point in time. You were an E2 at one point in time. Don't get so high and don't lead based off your rank. If you have to tell somebody you're the boss or you're in charge, you're probably fucking not. You're probably not in charge.
Absolutely.
You're just telling people, I am this rank and you will listen to me because of this. Because all you're doing now is leading through a collar device and no one gives a shit what you say. Right? They're going to do what they're told to do, but they're not going to be passionate about it. They're not going to have your back and run up a hill or run into a burning building just because you say so. Now it's going to be like this guy doesn't remember. He's disassociated with how things really are. He's so far removed from what it was like, boots on ground and being that young whatever, right?
Yeah. So obviously 90% of Hollywood is completely fake and exaggerated. There is one little nugget of a couple of scenes in Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood that is similar to what you would see in a fire department. And that is, on their PT days, they all just wore the same t-shirt. And that's common in a fire station. You might take the button up off during the day while you're doing a training task, or if you're going to go hit the gym, or if you're going to head out to a training thing at the training center, or you're going to go out into a field and drag some hose for practice, or it's just the evening and all the bosses have gone home and you're just going to dress down a little bit. So I can, with just a t-shirt on, absolutely walk anywhere in our 5 stations, and everybody, because of the prior work and the respect I've been giving them for all the years, all recognized my rank of just the way I walked into a room. And it was all groundwork that was laid years before. So I didn't have to have the collar brass on. And that took work, and that took years of hard work and being a team member, being empathetic and caring and truly caring about them to be able to earn that respect. And I can't say I got it, but I think I was close to it. I'd like to think that worked out. But I always remember that in that movie, they had times where they would just all wear the t-shirts, but they all knew who their gunnery sergeant was.
So quick question though, you're going to tell me right now that Backdraft is not a real representation of firefighters? I'm going to be really upset because I really like that movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It's all, coat open, no mask, yelling commands without a radio. Oh yeah, exactly. I have seen the movie when it came out. I actually have not seen it since. I'm familiar with it, of course, but yeah, it's definitely Hollywooded up. Most of the fires are way smokier and way darker than that. You just don't see across into the room most of the time, especially in a house of furniture. It's just not a thing.
Yeah. No, that's crazy cool. So for you, going through all that time, what I would tell you, and like Al had alluded to, you being able to walk into a room and people just knew who you were. I'm sure Al, and I know Ty is the same. I could look across the room and see somebody when I was still in the military and knew already like who they were, not like their job specific or whatever, but by the way that person carried themselves and talked to everyone, or their lack of talking to everyone, you knew kind of who you could gravitate towards, right? Because I used to tell all of my guys all the time, like who is the most dangerous person in a room when it came to our recruiting, like jobs and what we would do. And everybody always gravitated to the dude that was talking all kinds of shit all the time. And I was like, he is probably the worst out of all of us. But just like a good micromanager, they talk a very good game. So they can make you feel like it's just so easy to use all these spreadsheets and put all these boxes on and tell these people what to do and just track it off that number. But then the guy that's all quiet in the back corner, he's just got it figured out and he directs it through there. Like you said, trains it. We show up. Hey, you guys know the routine, right? All right, good to go. Let me know if we need to change. Boom. And then we're on. And the most stressful and high impact situations often are the easiest ones to go to, especially if you got a team that's trained and put in the right position.
Absolutely.
The leadership is good. Everybody trusts each other. Everybody has positional authority to make decisions. The hardest shit, you're like, that was easy. Everybody's like, I can't believe you got through it. Well, I mean, we were ready, right? And that's
and I've got some helmet cam on my Instagram page, and you'll just see me just saying, hey, what are you seeing? I think you're right. I'll meet you at the front door in a minute. And then I'll just trust that he knows what hose to grab and he knows what hand tool to grab. And I'm going to go walk around. I'm going to look for this. And I'm going to trust that he's going to meet me at the correct door based on the fire conditions. It's the same with the Jaws of Life run or with the commercial building fire. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Jocko Wilnick and his entire podcast. His business partner, Leif Babin, said in an interview when somebody asked him, how many times in your 4 years deployed with Jocko did he give you a direct order? And he goes, once, maybe twice, but that second time he kind of made it seem like my idea. He goes, really? In 4 years, all those hundreds, if not thousands of decisions, and he never once barked an order at you? He goes, nope. No, he gave us the strategy weeks before in our trainings. He told us the strategy on the helicopter ride over. And then we would kind of pick the tactics. We would say, hey, we like this angle of this hill. Go for it. And that would be it. And because the training was there. Can I talk a little bit about command presence, Matt?
Sure can. We're going to get to that maybe in 10 minutes if you're cool, because as you can tell, we've kind of heated the room up. You're kind of right at home right now. Hot is good for you, but we do a thing on our podcast called the hot seat. We're about the time where we can shake it up. And then we're going to jump into what you want to talk about. And especially I want to talk more about your book too.
Absolutely.
Because that's super interesting. But we're going to let Ty run you through the ringer real quick and try as best he can to turn the heat up on a firefighter. I don't know if it's going to work though.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one turning the heat up on a firefighter, but we're definitely going to try. All right, Matthew, I'll drop you down. All right, Mark, I appreciate everything you said so far. This has been one of the pretty insightful, because we talk about all the time how much PTSD and how much a lot of these things go right along with each other. The first thing I got for you in the hot seat here is I actually I said here I wanted you to role play, but what I'd like you to do is talk about why you're doing I was watching your Instagram. Talk about the thought process of why you want your radio calls on Instagram, because I think that's cool as hell.
Because I ended up noticing there was a pretty vibrant community of firefighters posting content. And if it wasn't their content, it was at least bystander footage of a fire. And then I loved the discussions that would follow, because they were all insightful. They were all educational. You would agree to disagree sometimes, but it was great learning opportunities. And so the education in the fire service has gotten so much better with social media, because every fire has got somebody filming it somewhere. And so I got a GoPro for my helmet, or like a fire specific GoPro that doesn't melt. And I ended up lucking into 10 fires that first year I had it. And the content ended up being exciting enough that sparked some fun online discussion. So I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've definitely put your Instagram on there. I encourage anyone that wants to see some cool firefighter shit, go check out Mark EBN Fire. It's fire. It's really cool. All right, what's your favorite song as a firefighter when working out?
It's kind of annoying. I kind of dig. I'm so eclectic. I can't narrow it down. I'm eclectic enough to where my kid's Christmas gift every year is mix CD. And, but I am a Rush fan. The problem is being a nerdy white guy, my workouts get interrupted with me air drumming.
Excellent. Air drumming. I love it. So, and you got to love Rush with near peer and air drumming. So appreciate that one. What's the most unique place in the world you've ever visited?
I have had a chance to do a whirlwind little European tour when I was in my 20s. Just hopped on sleeper car night trains and popped into different countries, and that was kind of fun. But the most interesting places I've been, I have taken my children to 16 Major League Baseball stadiums on road trips or airplane trips, and that's probably at the top of the list.
Oh hell yeah, that's a bucket list item there. I hope you get the rest of the stadiums. All right, 1 hour, one conversation with one person from your history or from history. Who would it be, and what would you talk about?
Man, I would love to talk to just famous leaders. It could be Abraham Lincoln, it could be Winston Churchill, it could be Patton, or it could be Eisenhower. Just I just enjoy the topic of leadership, and I just love the deep dives that shows like yours do, or the various other podcasts or books that are out there now. I don't know if I can narrow it down, but man, just any political or military leader from history, and you can just name any in the top 5, and I would love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, first concert and best concert.
Rush was the best concert. Me and the kids went and saw Royals play in Kansas City in the afternoon and caught the night concert at the Sprint Center in KC. And then first concert, though, was Eddie Money. Before he passed, he has a tie into Detroit. We have an outdoor amphitheater in a northern suburb. It's called Pine Knob. And for 25 years, he was always the first concert of their season opener in the spring. And so it was just a thing. Eddie Money opening up the season at Pine Knob.
Oh, very nice. I love it. That's cool as hell. Yeah, I got cousins from Michigan, so I would drink Burners, and they would tell me about, I think, Bob Seger and all that stuff when I was young. All right, so we talk about PTSD a lot, with the military, but we say on the show all the time that it definitely shows up in police and fire. So talk about some of the things as a leader that you encourage and or promote as a fireman for those firemen with PTSD.
For me, it was being present enough as a leader to notice when something is a stressor or a distraction to them. Every once in a while, it might have been a rough call we were on, but I have found if I'm available as a leader, I'm not hiding away in the office, I can notice when somebody's detached, when they're quiet, when they're irritable, when their medic skills or their interpersonal communications with the patients is starting to get rough around the edges. And then as a leader, I've found great success in just pulling them aside and saying, how are you doing? You don't seem like yourself lately. And then they open up. Yeah, my wife just got a bad diagnosis at the doctor, and I got to take her all these appointments on my day off. Or I got this bad news over here, or I'm having some friction with another employee on the crew. And so now, because I cared enough to get the information, I can now be their advocate. I could go to the chief and say, hey, we need to get this guy some FMLA time. Hey, can I look at a station transfer? I could find the resources to give them the help, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was hiding away in the office all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that answer. I appreciate that. So what is your elevator pitch for the lifestyle of a fireman for a young up and comer that wants to join right now? Give me your elevator pitch for being a career fireman.
It's the coolest job ever. It's like you're a rock star with a pension. People call us on their worst day. They love to see us. It's a fun job. It's an adrenaline rush of a job, but it's also a tiring and hard and monotonous job on the other side. But at the end of the day, even though we work 24 hours and you're going home gassed, you've got this pride in the work you've done and the difference you made. And so that on top of it, it provides a good amount of time off because we're working 24 hours. So I'm working 10 to 11 days a month. it provides a really good amount of time off to really be a good dad and be there for your family.
Absolutely. Sorry about that, Matt. I have on here for question number 7. What is the best firefighting TV show of all time? I'm not going to talk about the movies, just TV show.
My favorite goes all the way back to the 70s, and it was that Emergency show. Yeah.
Emergency. Okay. I was wondering.
I know some people love Rescue Me, and I don't dislike it, but it was more soap opera-ish. Whereas I just kind of liked Emergency because it was fire here, then a routine medical there, and then a car accident here, and then a really boring cat stuck in a tree there. And so it really showed a lot of the day-to-day.
I love that. It was my favorite too. I'm 51 years old. I grew up watching Emergency. I thought that and Chips was cool as hell. So firefighters and policemen has always been my heroes. Even though I joined the military, I went to Eastern Kentucky University. Yeah, I wanted to be a state trooper in Kentucky. So yeah, I appreciate all that you do. We're going to talk about your book here in a second. But I do want you to settle something for us on the show here. Who's the greatest of all time, Michael Jackson or Prince?
I'm going to lean to Michael Jackson just because he's got a deeper catalog. But I do got to say, there's something about the cocky swagger of Prince to where I wasn't even offended when he threw his guitar off the stage at the George Harrison Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. It did not bother me. It was one of the coolest rock and roll moments I've ever seen. But I'd have to lean to Michael Jackson because of the catalog.
Excellent. That's an excellent answer. I agree that While My Guitar Gently Weeps and Prince's guitar solo is probably one of the greatest solos ever. You know,
and it's such a real, authentic human moment.
Yeah, but you can't, like I said, I'm a Prince guy myself, but you can't go wrong with Michael Jackson. And let's see where we're at in the 163rd episode. We are. Yeah, last week our guest picked Prince, but this week it is now Prince 61 and gaining a point this week. Michael Jackson is at 51. I'm going to bring the guys in real quick before I ask you the last question of the let me move everybody where they're supposed to be. Last question of the hot seat. We like to do an AAR. What can we do to make our podcast better, sir?
I would say more talk on the important topics of male pattern baldness and daytime sweat would be it. We got to really knuckle down and solve these issues.
Yeah. Well, we shy away from the hard ones. I mean, that's.
I have to agree, and I will say I'm sad that nobody picked Fire Country as the best firefighting show. Sad. Yeah, boo. It's okay. I'm just kidding.
Oh man. That's funny. That is funny. Well, so we're back from that. That was probably one of the ease of motion hot seats we've done. I mean, obviously, right? Like pressure, no problem. But right before we go into that, I just want to say for you, sir, the floor is yours. Please continue. I would love to hear more about what you were going to get into.
Command
leadership. Yeah, you were talking about command presence, and I wanted to hit on the point you made, and I don't know if the rest of you would agree with that, but I loved how you said if you went into a dressed down environment, a cafeteria or a tent mess hall out in deployment where all the soldiers are just wearing their t-shirts, you would be able to tell who the captains and lieutenant colonels were. Just by the way they carried themselves, the lack of them talking to everybody else. I have a story about that in my book. I was talking about command presence, and a lot of it's got to be your work behind you. It's got to be the reputation you've built. Have you made decisions that have worked out? Have you shown yourself to be a good listener and you're there to have your team's back? have you shown yourself the ability to adapt in a scene and take advice from other people to where now you're just walking into a room with this trust that because you're here, things are going to go well because you've got that track record of things going well. And not that you get the credit, but at least you were able to put the people in the right position so they could show how talented and smart they are. And are you guys sports fans?
Absolutely.
All right. So the current general manager for the Philadelphia Phillies, a gentleman named Dave Dombrowski. And then he was the GM for the Boston Red Sox. And then for 12 years before that, he was the GM of the Detroit Tigers. And so he comes over from the Florida Marlins, wins a World Series. And we were in last place for 10 years. And then he comes in 04, 05, revamps the team. And in 06, we make the World Series. And then we go from 2006 to 2016, make the playoffs every single year, made it to 2 World Series, didn't win one, but we have this incredible run of sellouts at home, and it's just really good baseball. And he's a tall dude. He's like, I hear he's like 6'4", but he just had a way in his press conferences of giving people confidence that, hey, we made this trade. Hey, we're going to send this guy down to the minors. Hey, we're going to make this change in the clubhouse. And the press treated him with respect because he gave the press a lot of respect. And so he got a lot of respect from the fans because we're now in the playoffs every year and he's built this really good team. So I knew somebody who worked for the Detroit Tigers. And this person mentioned that they were at the company Christmas party. And the owner, Mike Ilitch, was now in retirement, and his son, Chris Ilitch, had taken over. But Mr. I had came to the Christmas party, and she says, yeah, so I hadn't seen him in a while because he's in semi-retirement. So I said, hey, has anybody seen Mr. I got to go find him. I want to say hello. And I said, does Dave Dombrowski ever come to the parties? Oh, yeah. He always shows up at the office parties. I said, would you ever ask to go find him and say hello? She goes, oh, that would never happen. And I said, why is that? She said, everybody knows when Dave Dombrowski walks in a room. And I said, wow. And I don't know how much is his stature, the way he carries himself, or how much is that reputation that was built behind him, that strong, silent type that gives the credit to other people and builds other teams up. But he had that respect when he walked in a room. They said it changed the energy of the room when he was there.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot like that too. When we would look at people, you would there would be often times where I know that Al's experienced this, I'm sure Ty has before, that you would just have people come up to you because they saw you walking somewhere and go, I was told I need to come find you. And I was like, what? And that it just through training, mentorship, development, what you've done for others, they've heard what you've done over here. Sometimes it was people trying to see if it was true. Is he really that good? And then other times it was like they took the person that I know best told me to come see you and talk to you. And like you kind of carried that tradition on, right? Where you're sitting in an office for hours just doing training, even though you should be doing other stuff. But if people want knowledge, you pour into them, right? And then a lot of that other stuff too was that reputation you build of like coming through. Like I remember all the time after I met Al, when we were in recruiting duty, there'd be moments where everybody in the room would be talking about what they were going to do the next month, right? Like, this is what we're going to do, especially if they failed. And Al used to be the only guy, just to brag on this dude a little bit, that would sit in the room and be like, we fucked up. We didn't get it done. It's because I didn't hold them accountable enough to the job that they needed to do, but we're going to go do this month and it's going to be good to go. And that's going to be it. And I knew 9 out of 10 times he did hold him accountable. It just couldn't get done because it just wasn't able to get done because he was in one of the hardest areas to recruit in based on numbers, population, educate, all those different things. But he never would be like, but you would see some of these other guys, these guys suck and all this stuff, right? And I never saw him do that. And that's when like I would like gravitate towards Al and talk to him because I was like, oh man, this dude never blames anybody else for something that didn't happen, right? It was always, we're going to get it fixed. Don't worry about it. But if he ever said that, I never heard a rebuttal. I never heard anybody go, well, you need to tell me more. But these other dudes around the table, like, you knew it was coming. Like, you could literally look and go, he's about to get this question and he's going to freak out because he doesn't know the answer. Right. And so I think that general manager walking in the door was probably like that. It was accountability. It was getting the job done. It was being there when he needed to be there. There was never a question on what was going to be done or how it was going to be done or anything. It just, was there. And it's like everything spoke through the hall when he's walking in. Like that's the one time the game of telephone ends with the same thing that it started. You know what I mean? And it works out that way. And it's just interesting to meet people like that and see that kind of stuff happen.
Well, that's a good point you made also about in recruiting, if you're not meeting your goal, you gravitated towards the people who would not blame it on the kids on the street or blame it on the subordinates. We talked about micromanaging. I really got to add another thing that bothered me about poor leadership in prior jobs and in the fire service when I was coming up was the boss not taking the blame. That drove me crazy. And I got blamed, not only blamed, it was kind of my fault, yes, but I got a chief calling my lieutenant once, and he goes, yeah, just a minute. And he hands me the phone. And I could hear the chief yelling into the phone before it comes to my ear. And yes, sir. Sir. Very sorry, sir. Of course, sir. Hey, what the hell are you doing? And the lieutenant goes, what? It was your mistake. This is supposed to be your phone call. Why are you not on this phone right now? Sir.
Yeah.
Of course, sir. Very sorry, sir. Won't happen again, sir. I did not need time to process. I knew exactly in that moment, if I ever get a chance to be a lieutenant, I am taking this phone call. I am never going to pass
as
this
it
phone
should
to
be.
a junior person.
Shit rolls downhill for a reason,
Yes.
dude. But only if it needs to.
Yes.
Only if it needs to. Yeah.
Sometimes that chief is just barking and he doesn't have all the information and he's just venting, and I'm just going to absorb it. And then I'll go train with the crew a little bit. And every once in a while, he's got a really good point. All right, crew.
Great.
Didn't go
Mark,
well. We're going to
great
train
leaders
on this tomorrow. We're going to fix it.
Right. Because great leaders are two things. They're shields and they're sponges. That's it. You shield your people from bullshit and you keep them out of the firing line. And then you're a sponge. You absorb all the bullshit. You absorb all their pain, all their trauma, what they're dealing with. Their family problems are now your problems, and you care about that person's family. So you're a shield or you're a sponge. That's the two things you have to be in a leadership role.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, when I first got promoted to captain, one of the chief officers who I'm sure it's a habit he picked up because this is the way the chiefs treated him when he was coming off the line. He's yelling out on the apparatus floor at one of my senior firefighters who's not yet an engineer. And I physically had to stand in between them. And I'm trying not to put my hands on the chief's shoulders, but I'm all like trying to signal I need him to back up. And I'm saying, please take me in the office, talk to me. And I keep moving my head so he can't whip his fingers into this dude's chest. Talk to me. Let's go in the office. You talk to me. I will talk to him. And he wasn't hearing it. And I said, we're just gonna have to wait till this dude retires because we're just not going to change his behavior at this point. But I knew to be better. And so I knew to never do that to people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's hard to do that. I used to tell a lot of people there's going to be guys that yell and scream and that's the only way they need to communicate because that's kind of the way they came up. But what I did tell people in a lot of those cases, have you ever just really listened to what they're saying while they're yelling at you? Because that may be the only way they know how to communicate. It comes off horribly. It comes off like they're huge assholes and they're being one in the moment. But if you ever listen to the content of the words that they're yelling at you about, you might actually learn something. And their reasoning for being their version of stern, which is like screaming, is pretty valid. But you shut off the moment they elevate their voice and yell, and you're missing out on what it is that they want you to do. And you can't figure out how you can never figure out how to like please that leader or do the things the way that they want it done. It's because as soon as they walk in the room, you know they're going to yell, you're going to shut down, and you've completely not listened to anything that they're doing. You got to gather the intel. It's going to suck, but you're going to have to listen to it, right? And sometimes they'd be like, damn, like he was like, you know, saying that. And I used to say, you can come in and yell at me all day long. If I am deserving of the ass chewing, I expect to get yelled at. Just do it. It's all good. I'm great with it. Man, just don't yell at people just to do it. That's crazy. That just doesn't make sense. And it makes people, no matter how great you are at your job, no matter how good you are at strategizing, planning, you know, in a stressful situation, pivoting, if you can't communicate well, it doesn't matter. Like you have to learn how, like Al talks about all the time. He just did, like, your family problems for your people or your problems and all those things. You got to learn every person you work with. That guy doesn't take it well, right? So you can't yell at him, but you can sit him down and let him know, I'm going to give you a sternly worded conversation, right? But this dude over here, he responds to getting in his ass. So that's what we're going to do. And so you see this person walking around that's over exaggerating with this guy, but he's really calm with this guy, and he's not quite in between with this. And you can't ever figure out that dude, like, he treats everybody different. Well, no shit. They're all different people, but they all learn differently and they all absorb it differently, right? We talk as a group, but if I'm individual with them, I have to know them, and I have to know what makes them tick or what motivates them or what's going to help them kind of, you know, pull their head out of their ass if they need to or whatever, right? You know, and it's just interesting that so many people think this is the only way you got to talk to everybody. And if I do that, I'm going to be good. And you're like, damn, dude, that's kind of not how it works. You know what I mean? It just,
that's a really good point.
That way.
Yeah. And now you got me thinking, because my first captain was a loud guy, but everybody knew his bark was worse than his bite. He was just loud, and there was something almost comical about it, but he could talk rationally and calm, and he could be super calm when he wanted to be. So he could turn it on and off, like you were just using as an example. But when he would yell, come to think of it, I probably was listening to him. When I've had other screamers who that's all they knew how to do was scream, I feel bad because, I never listened to them. So I really don't know if they had a point, because I would just mentally tune it out as, well, this is this hothead going off. And so I really wonder, how many lessons did I miss out on because of their inability to regulate it?
And it could have even been like, not just a lesson that you could have learned, but like, what leadership lesson could I have learned on how I would handle this situation differently based on what it was, right? Like, obviously I don't want to yell at someone, but the content is what I always liked to try to figure out, you know, because I worked for a lot of people that all they, like you alluded to them, that old school way of doing things was to browbeat, yell, scream, threaten, I'm going to take this, take that, you're not good or whatever. And it was always that whole, I got to drag you down in order to drag you up. You could never do anything great. I have to find a mistake because I have to be able to train you. Even though I did all this stuff right, well, how about now we go train to the next level from this? Because I've obviously mastered whatever this is. Now put me something that I don't know and understand, and now you can train me. But if I've already got that down, you don't have to keep, you know, Al's going to laugh at this. You don't have to look at every entry in the record for the people I'm keeping to go, you missed one day. Are you kidding me, dude? One day and now I'm the worst person ever. But I just heard you talking to your friend who doesn't do it at all, and the conversation wasn't even the same, right? So it's like, you know, picking and choosing. But yeah, like a lot of times is just the content of what they're saying. Sometimes like you can break that down. And it does become comical, I guess, because Al knows a couple of these guys. Like when they would call you for their issues that they were having, you could damn near word for word say what they were yelling through the phone on speaker, muted with everybody in the room, and you're saying exactly what they're saying. Everybody's like, holy, and they're laughing, and you're like, I knew it was coming, man. But we just effed that up. So I just got that, you know, and it is what it is. Like, it's transparent of like, this is the shit that we got to deal with if we don't get our job done. So let's just do it. But a lot of times those yellers, they've got their script, you know, they micromanage through yelling. And that's that one talk track that one or two times that they really got that person to be like, holy shit, I'm scared. They're like, that works. And that's all they roll with. So then you're like, damn, dude, could you yell at me differently today? I mean, that'd be great. Like,
yes. And to touch on, I'm going to expand on something you had said, because in the fire service, a lot of the rookie training is managed by the officers, but the day-to-day tasks of it is delegated to the senior firefighters or the engineers. And so a lot of the times they don't really have the rank to yell at people, but they'll kind of bark a little bit. And I've seen some people who are just bitter, angry, not happy with where their career's at. And that barking legitimately just turns into being unfair, up to the point of sometimes even hazing. And so the phrase I'll always like to use, yeah, the thing with tearing people down so you could build them back up is at some point you actually have to do the building back up.
Exactly.
And we've had too many people that are great at the tearing down, but then they don't know what to do to then mentor and coach somebody to be better.
Exactly. And that's those guys, when we were in that arena as senior leaders, those are the guys you walk up to like, okay, well, you just did your best. Now, how are you going to fix that problem? Like, what are you going to do now? And they're always like, he knows what to do. Does he? Because you're always yelling at him. I don't know if he really knows what to do. Oh my God. Like, what he does know is no matter when you see him and he sees you, he's going to get yelled at. Because I saw it on his face when he walked down the hall or whatever. You know what I mean? Oh my God. It's like,
well, I hope that doesn't happen on deployments.
Shit. That's probably the place it happens the most.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's no eyes on deployment, right? You're not on the base. There might not be somebody looking.
You might get punched in the face on deployment. If nobody's around, you might get
not today, but back then, yeah.
Back then, 100%. You might get slapped. Like, holy shit.
But then you might get dragged into the Connex box and you have to figure it out.
I've had some leaders tell me that. I've had leaders say, hey, we'll take these off. We'll go behind the building and we can see who's more of a man. I'm like, you know what?
I think I'm going to go try to change that oil
I think
now.
I'm going to go fix this shit over here. I'm good. Thank you, though.
That's funny. Well, Mark, we've had the pleasure of learning a whole bunch about your career, leadership, all those things. I am very, very interested and curious. What made you want to actually sit down and write a book? That takes a long time, and that's a lot of words. And if you've ever been around Al, I don't even know if he would get that many on paper, but it's a hard thing to do. What made you want to write a book?
Hope you got a book on tape, bro.
I enjoyed writing as a hobby. So I was always, wrote for a small local newspaper before I worked in the fire department. While I was on the fire department, I was always submitting, not every year, but maybe every other year, I'd throw together an essay or a magazine article, and I would submit it to fire or EMS magazines or to science magazines or local newspapers. And I never, ever got published, but I still kind of would always like to once a year throw an essay together and see if anybody wants to buy it. And maybe I could call myself a writer. And then when I was doing those podcasts, because of the helmet cam that I had, so many podcasts started reaching out to saying, hey, come on and we'll talk about your helmet cam and we'll break down tactics and strategy. You teach me about your department. I'll tell you about mine. And I found myself writing out on a legal pad various talking points. And then I looked and said, well, I think some of these talking points would make a really good article. And I said, what the hell am I doing? Just knuckle down and take these essays and just turn them into chapters and see if you got something. And legitimately, when I started doing it, I had 3 chapters before I even realized it. Then it became a job. Now it's work.
Yeah, well, you were committed after 3 chapters, dude.
Now to get the next 10 chapters, it was legitimate combing through thoughts, writing down talking points, reading some source material, and just trying stuff out on the page. So I did it in about 6 months, and then it took me like 3 months to find a publisher. It's a pay-for-pay publisher, so it's not traditionally published. So it's a version of self-publishing.
Nice. So I'm curious. So you've written the book, it's out, people can get it. You know, anytime we do something like that, the people that we're closest with or that we've worked with forever are the first ones that we'll hear from on that, right? Especially, I'm sure, in the fire and police community.
Yeah.
The humor is just as good as in the military. But on a serious note for that, what are the people that you've worked with or that you did work with, what did they think about the book and you writing it, and what kind of feedback have you received from it from people in your peers in your peer group?
It was very surprisingly positive. I thought there would be a little bit of teasing, and there was. I thought maybe some people might be sore because I talked about some poor leadership examples, like I've mentioned here in the podcast. And I was worried that maybe I referenced somebody who's somebody's buddy, and I would maybe rub people the wrong way. That ended up not happening because I very careful to spell out in the book. Anytime I saw poor leadership, I don't hold a grudge against those people. Yeah. Sometimes they just weren't taught better. Sometimes they weren't given the right information with which to lead. And sometimes it was just the example they were provided, but they were all learning things from me. And so for me, it's been a very positive experience. The people I've met in other departments are having fun with it and enjoying the lessons and the discussions, and the people in my department seem to really have fun with it and ask me a lot of questions. And it's sparked good talks on how to just make workplaces better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no secret sauce to making the workplace better or being a good leader, because Al's alluded to it, Ty's alluded to it, and you've talked about it the whole time we've been on here. There is really time-tested and true methods to being a good leader, right? And yeah. I mean, really, communication, empathy, and accountability for yourself, I think, are the keys there. Of like, as the leader, you have to be the one that's accountable, but you got to be a good communicator, and you got to be empathetic to situations. Like you said, you had a guy tug-of-warring a ladder in the middle of the street because that was the most important thing at that moment, not whatever was burning in the back, because the ladder was green, not blue, or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
Like at the end of the day, with that ladder, can we walk up that thing and fight this fire? Well, next time, tell them, like in other things, corporate America, like just somebody gets fired because they didn't put cones in front of a van. Well, the first question you ask the leader is, well, did you guys tell him he had to do that? Oh, it was in the NDOC paperwork. Oh, the paperwork. The paperwork you never do? Get it. So how would he know if nobody told him, right? But now this person can be held accountable for something that it is a rule, definite rule, and it is a safety rule. But he didn't even know because nobody told him. And how do we know that? Because we asked him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, there's no rhyme to it. But when someone reads your book, what do you hope anyone walks away with when they're done reading it?
Empathy is not a weakness. When you truly care about your team, it doesn't mean that you're their buddy and you're letting things slide. When you truly care that they grow up to be the best employees they can, that is truly building people up. So caring doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean letting them slide. It doesn't mean being their pal or their buddy. It usually means caring about how they develop, which sometimes might, like you said, mean holding them accountable. And most men appreciate that. Most men and women in the fire service appreciate that.
Yeah, military too. I mean, there's a lot of times where I would tell everybody I worked with, like, listen, I'm here to fight for you all day long, and I will, I'll go down with the ship 100% on one condition. you really didn't do something illegal, erroneous. You
Mhm.
did something knowing that it wasn't the right thing to do. If you do that, just know you're done, because I'm not fighting for you if you truly did the wrong thing. But if it was like an objective call, if it was subjective, you just had to make a decision. We can train to that, right? But when you do
Yes.
illegal or inappropriate things, look, man, I'm going to be the first one in line to
Mhm.
hold you accountable to that, and you're going to pay the proper price for whatever it is that you did. I just, all the time I was upfront with that. Like, I'm not going to I can't save you. If you do wrong, I can't save you. But if you make mistakes, we can
Yes.
work on those.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing. And all the good officers I've had, and I tried to say this to every crew that I ended up being an officer on. If there's a mistake in the field and the chief wants to chew some butts, I promise you, I will stand in front of you in that chief's office. I will be in the front, and I will absorb every bit of it that I can, and then we will go back and train on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, anyone that you want to shout out, anybody you want to say hello to, recognize, like what's
Just the good men and women of the Dearborn Fire Department have taught me so much. It still remains a good portion of my identity. I love being associated with them. It's I think one of the best departments in the state of Michigan, if not the best. And I just enjoyed every minute of working there, and they are in such good hands. They've got a great core of senior leaders and some young lieutenants coming up that really care about the job.
That's awesome, man. So where can they find your book? How can someone connect with you? And let's go there first. Then I got one more question for you.
Yeah. Barnes & Noble and Amazon. I have found out recently that Barnes & Noble works a little bit better for a self-published author. Amazon's royalties payment thing is way more onerous for the people that are self-published. I went through a publisher, but it's pay to play, and so Barnes & Noble does work a little bit better for the wholesale figures, the way they do the math. And so it's called Leading Through the Heat. It's on Barnes & Noble. Mark DBN Fire on Instagram. I believe I've got a links there that will also have my LinkedIn. And I've got clips on Instagram and some leadership thoughts on LinkedIn. And I've also been fortunate enough to do a little bit of public speaking on the topic of leadership, and I'm hoping to do more of that.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Well, once again, I do want to say that we appreciate you coming on, and this is Ty kind of said it earlier. This has been a very enlightening episode because we do talk about it a lot, but there's so many parallels to like Al said, like the way that you're speaking leadership and the way that we see it from what we did in the military. I mean, at the end of the day, those are two very high stress, high pressured situational jobs. And it just, goes to show you that irregardless of how much pressure or stress you're in, if you lead the right way, it's going to work out. But you can definitely find people tug of war and ladders in the street, or freezing and not knowing whether they need to bring more water, get more water, or run a hose to more water, right? Like people are going to freeze until you get them in those moments. You don't know what to do. And then as Al said, some young dude's going to be like, F that, we're doing this, get his ass out of the way. Because at the end of the day, it's got to be done. It's embarrassing for those guys, but thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking through with us. For everybody out there, Leading Through the Heat, go get the book. I mean, it can't do anything but make you better. Go to Barnes & Noble, pick it up. That means, Al, you have to read it. Real quick, though, Mark, any pictures in the book?
There are not, but that is a picture of me on the front cover.
Al's not going to read it then.
Yes, that was a discussion we had. He said, hey, I got some rights-free photos that'll be cheaper for you, and we could AI this cover in. And I said, absolutely not. The cover on the front, the cover on the back is going to be me. Yeah. I will buy the rights from a local photographer that has covered our emergency scenes. And so, I wanted it to
so
be me.
You had to buy the rights of your image?
There's nothing to color?
Yes, a professional freelance photographer who takes fire scene photos and sells them to magazines and newspapers own the rights. and he's professional. He deserves the money. He took some great artwork. And so I
get
happy.
it, but that's me.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. It's his artwork. And if I ever make a profit at this, which I have yet to, I wouldn't want to profit off of his back. I would want him to earn the money he's earned. And so, he's a great photographer. But I wanted the cover photo to show me doing the job and me going to a place that I'm asking my crew to also come with me.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. Well, thank you again for coming on. We appreciate your time. It's been tremendous. If there's ever any updates on the book, if you ever in Texas doing a book tour kind of event, you got to look us up. Pensacola as well.
I just reached out to a podcast, an in-person podcast in San Antonio, so I got to see if it's worth a plane ticket to go out there.
Oh, nice.
So then I would reach out. And I got one in Lauderdale, but I know that's on the other side from Jacksonville. So
yeah.
Dude,
I mean, it's all Florida at the end of the day. Well, yeah,
I appreciate you so much coming on. I've enjoyed the story. It's we talk about it so much about how the PTSD and the job and the preparation, and like I brought my son in earlier because he was listening, I guess, out there with my wife. So I was going to ask him, what kind of leader I was. I'm pretty sure I was a micro prepper. So I would get in people's ass and yell about the preparation of. Yes. But like even some of my soldiers that I've had come on the show, they always tell me, yeah. And then he sent me out there and told me to find the biggest building, and then, all these people are great leaders now. It was
and
all
then you go
micro prepping.
Did you find it? Yes.
Hell yeah. Was the mission
then we did good.
Hell yeah. Are you part of the best S6 and SIGO and EWO shop in the entire Army? Yes, you are. Did you win a bunch of awards for the great work you did? Yes, you did. So there you go. Micro.
So Ty, did we ask the last question of the hot seat? I don't think we did.
Did we not get to it? Oh, did we get sidetracked? So what can we do to make our show better?
We asked that.
Yeah, he said.
That's right. Talk about bald heads. I forgot. That's right.
I did think of one other thing.
Yeah, hit us.
In your opening credits, did I see you have a bourbon sponsor?
Well, they're not.
We support some veteran bourbon makers.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will look them up and certainly support them.
April 1, Torpedo. There's a couple other ones that we sponsor.
Well, that one is Brass and Anchors, like Veterans Whiskey Club. Okay. So like they have chapters all over the country, and veterans will get together, and it's just get together at a spot, do some tastings, and they blend.
So I saw the bottle in the opening credits. So if I ever get a chance to be on, I'll make sure to pour a glass while I'm here.
That's what I'm talking about,
dude.
sir.
Hell yeah.
And if you ever updates, or if you ever want to put something out, or you ever, just want to come back on to give updates or ask questions, whatever it is, man, like you're part of the family now. If you ever need time to jump on, so even if we need to help you create some reels in the future, you're welcome. You just got to reach out.
Absolutely.
Consider it done.
Hoorah.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Andrew, we'll make sure that we have all of his links are in the chat here, and next week we'll be tagging him in every reel that we put out of the show. He uses Opus clips as well for the stuff he does. So we'll give him the whole show.
Nerds. That's all I heard. I don't know what Opus clips are, none of that shit, bro.
Yeah, but here's the book again. It's Mark Andrew, Leading Through the Heat. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. Check him out on Instagram, check him out on LinkedIn, and check him out with Barnes & Noble, Leading Through the Heat, Mark Andrew. Really appreciate that.
I was like,
hey, I do. You asked 2 times about the last question, and we had Eric Morante on the show a couple weeks ago, and one of his, how to make the show better, he said he wants a 30 seconds of freedom. So I made a video for 30 seconds of freedom. We might have to change this to 15 seconds of freedom. But this first one, we're going to do a full 30 seconds. This is a new segment called Eric Morante's 30 Seconds of Freedom. That took a lot of coordination to get that done, I'm sure. So I don't know whose range that was. I know I stole it from somebody on YouTube, but we'll have a new 15 seconds of freedom every week after.
Is it weird that I'm a little bit hard?
No, that's what I thought. That's why I say.
Is it slightly weird that I'm sitting here alone in the room and I'm like I'm semi
after 30
right
seconds, I figured you and I would probably be to there. That's why we probably need to shorten it to 15.
Yeah, shorten it to 15 because if you go a full 30 seconds or 1 minute, I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate that one. All right, so hey, the next week we do have NFL football. I've got a video here I want to show real quick.
NFL football?
Yeah, preseason's starting, baby. Check this out.
Nobody cares about the NFL, bro. All we give a shit about is these college football picks, bro.
Oh, come on. Give me a break.
Fuck that NFL football.
No, I'm not talking about
all about winning this shit again, dude.
Why the video won't upload?
Bro, there's an asterisk by your win.
Oh, here we go.
Is there? What is the asterisk?
Me and you were tied for so long. Go back and look, and then I started.
But then we could have.
I started just picking against you, even though I wanted to pick that team, and I ended up losing.
I mean,
like, I'm picking with my heart.
Potato, tomato, tomato. Bro, I want to know how you found Al Hero of the Future.
Bro, that's going to be me.
How the fuck did you do that?
That's going to be me, bro.
What is all this? That looks like NFL.
Yeah, I mean, well, the college doesn't start until the 28th of the month. It's
we'll pick some
Cal Poly.
We're picking NFL games preseason.
Yeah, hey, NFL gets you ready for college. However you want to look at it. I love football. Football will be on in this house until the
I think Ty's trying to get as many games in as he can so he doesn't repeat the performance of last year. That's what I think.
The picks is fine. I mean, it's known in my house. Tatum knows what's coming. I have the TV Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during football season.
So just go ahead and put me down for every Jacksonville Jaguars game. That's who I'm picking. That's everybody they play, I'm picking. So. Damn, yay.
Hey, look, today I was I went to get dinner. We were at my favorite hangout. That would be Project Halo Brewing in Fulshire, Texas. Veteran owned, kick-ass beer. You got to go get some. And the bartender was there, and he was like, oh, my dad is a Bills fan. My stepmom's a Vikings fan. So they're going to a Minnesota Bills game this season, NFL. And we were like, well, which one do you like? He goes, I don't like any of them. He's like, I like the Broncos. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then he said, I like the Nuggets. So he's a anything Denver sports, right? So we're sitting at the bar, and I said, hey, man, do you know what the Nuggets, Rockies, and the Broncos have in common? And he's like, what? I'm like, they all suck. And there was these three guys at the bar that almost spit their beer out laughing because it was just, you know what they got in common? They all suck. And everybody's like,
you know what else sucks? I just want to say this. Oh, you know what else really sucks? The Colorado Buffaloes. And they got a shithead for a coach. Boom! I don't care who hates it.
I can't wait for college football picks. Oh, by the way, do you guys do fantasy football at all? I know what Ty does. What about you, Al? Do you pretend?
I have. I've been in my dad's league a couple of times. I suck and I don't watch NFL games. So like I just pick people.
I don't either.
I drafted people that don't even play anymore. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll pick Tom Brady.
I know that name.
Yeah, I know that name from like 1990.
Let's go.
Hey, let's get I'll be in whatever one you're talking about, Matt. I got what I've been doing with the 4 Colt guys. Shout out to whatever they named it this year. It's damn you somebody for changing the league, I think. But anyway.
Hey, Ty, before you exit us, I just want to say, hey, I've got a barbecue team now. I joined the Florida Barbecue Association. We've got a cook-off. We got a cook in January in Apalachicola that I'm cooking it, and I have a team name already picked. Matt's working on my logo.
Yeah. Well, fucking A, dude. You just told everybody you got a team name picked.
We are the flip-flop fat boys.
Flip flop fat boys. That's what I'm talking about.
Barbecue.
Barbecue.
Nice.
I love it. I'm excited for you. But I mean, we do have the Danny D's coming up.
I'm pumped for that. We're ready. We're ready.
Yeah,
we locked in.
A lot of fun.
We are locked
Next
in.
Next week on the show, we're going to have another gentleman coming on talking about leadership. Brian Flanagan, Lieutenant Colonel, retired from the Air Force, pilot of an AC-130 and the MQ-9. That's the Big Reaper. So that's going to be a lot of fun. He's a cancer survivor as well, and that's not what I wanted to show. But yeah, I'm ready to do this. You ready to go, guys?
Let's go.
Yeah, take us out, Matt.
Well, today's Thursday. If you're watching right now, you already know that. Like our man, CIA Bob over here, he knows what day Thursday is. Everybody else needs to know what day Thursday is. And if you're listening to this right now, the challenge is to go share it with 5 people so they can listen. They can hear amazing stories like we got to hear from our guest, Mark Andrew, today. All right? You just got to go check him out. It's just going to make you nothing but better. It can't get worse. If it could get worse, then that'd be a problem. But we appreciate everybody coming on. We love telling stories. We love that you're a part of our community. And if you have a story to tell, please reach out. And we would love to tell it. But we'll see you guys again next week. We look forward to seeing you in the comments. Or Alan Tile see in the comments. I'm not going to read that shit. But thank you, everybody. We appreciate the support. Like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. We'll see you guys next week.
Oh, shit. Hey, it's me. Love you too, Bob. So, like I say every week, don't miss the opportunity to check on somebody that you care about, a battle buddy, somebody you serve with, another veteran. Reach out to active duty. Just reach out to somebody this week. Text, call them, tell them you love them, tell them you're thinking about them, and do a buddy check. Make sure you're checking on your people. Love you guys. Thanks for showing up.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Then press 1.